Nothing is evil in the beginning. And there was a time when the world was so young.
Rings of Power, Episode 5 Review. And we begin with the wizard and Nori talking during their travel to a place called The Grove. We also get another song, yay! But instead of being a repeat of the same line, this one contradicts itself, talking about wandering to unknown lands far away. When these Harfoots have a fit about going off trail, it then moves back to the crash site of the wizard and 3 women investigating the site. To Adar, basking in the sun, who is informed that the tunnel is complete, who then decides to show the audience what happens when an orc is exposed to the sun, like what happens to a ginger, and then tells the orc it's time to gather their forces. In the watchtower, Bronwyn gives a speech instead of the battle-hardened Ariandir.
Our enemy vows to attack. In exchange for mercy, we have been ordered to abandon this tower and swear fealty to their commander. I know I'm not the king you have awaited.
Not really sure why they are waiting. Seem to be doing fine without one for 1,000 years. Bronwyn, the local healer, then tries to give a rousing speech to stand and fight, but fails as the Sauron worshipper gives his own.
Stand and fight, you will die. To take our chances, bow into the supposed enemy. I'll say this for our ancestors. They lived!
Like they are right now and have been under the elves, unlike the orcs, who have been going around killing humans recently. Anyway, a group of people leave the watchtower with the Sauron worshipper. It then moves to Numenor, preparing its volunteer army under Elendil's command, as Isildur tries to convince him to let him serve, which Elendil rebukes as he has had his chances and they have more than enough deserving volunteers already. Isildur even asks his father to let him slip to the front of the line. Still in Numenor, we are with Halbrand showing his skill in the forge before being called to the palace to give his insight on enemy movements when he has not been there for months, if not more, but guesses exactly right. Miriel then informs Halbrand that he is going with the expeditionary force, as Galadriel has told her Halbrand wishes to unite his people, but before her plan can be destroyed, she stops Halbrand from telling Miriel otherwise.
You used me after I all but begged you to let me be.
I have just convinced Numenor to send 5 ships and 500 men to aid your people and place a crown upon your head. Many might assume you used me.
Find another head to crown.
Galadriel once again showing that she is a horrible person and only cares for what she wants. Back to the Harfoots, who blame the wizard for their problems. Nori and 2 others get attacked by wolves. Well, at least I think they're supposed to be wolves. The wizard unfortunately saves them, but injures himself doing so. Once again to Numenor, as Isildur's friends use real weapons to train, as Elendil watches on. Galadriel then shows up to insult the Numenorians.
Many ways to kill an orc. But for you, I will keep it strong and simple. Stab, twist, gut.
Who would have guessed stabbing them would work, until Elendil asks if she is willing to show the new recruits a thing or two. Galadriel then starts a mock battle of her against everyone, and any who would wound her will gain a promotion to lieutenant. Galadriel easily beats them one-on-one, giving them some terrible advice on fighting.
Swordsmanship is about balance rather than strength. Fight with your feet, not your arms.
Until all those involved fight her, and she still walks circles around them until a part of her clothing is cut, and it ends there. Pharazôn and his son talk about why he is supporting the war. Pharazôn states a king in the Southlands will forever be in Numenor's debt, but his son is against the war. The king tells Miriel to not go to Middle-earth, as she will find only darkness there. To the wizard healing himself, as Nori decides it's a good idea to touch something freezing, and gets caught in the spell. Who would have thought? She then runs off in fear to make you think the wizard is bad, when it's all Nori's fault. We then cut to Lindon, as Elrond, Durin and Gil-galad talk over dinner. Gil-galad and Durin ask some probing questions of each other, but nothing comes of it. Elrond has a conversation with Gil-galad about his motives for sending him to the dwarfs, and it was to find out about Mithril. We get the backstory of Mithril, and that the light of the Eldar is fading. Gil-galad believes that Mithril may be the key to saving their kind and the only hope they have, and asks Elrond to break his oath to Durin to save his people, even all of Middle-earth. But Elrond will not betray his friend. To Isildur, as he talks with his friends to apologize and to try and get on the boat to the Southlands. They refuse to take him, as they believe he will once again quit. Pharazôn's son decides to sabotage the ship Isildur is stowing away on. They get in a fight as Isildur tries to stop him. It does not work and the ship explodes. Isildur saves the life of Pharazôn's son, and they both make up a story as to why they were in the water next to a destroyed ship, and Elendil believes them. Really? Come on. Miriel is now undecided if they should continue with just 3 ships and will decide in the morning. Back to Lindon, as Elrond has given the Mithril to Celebrimbor to test. Celebrimbor has found nothing can diminish its light and says they will need vast quantities of it to give to all the elves, as it could be their salvation. But still unsure if he should break his oath, except he already has by talking to Celebrimbor, but I guess that doesn't count. Galadriel goes to convince Halbrand to join her at the palace in the morning to persuade Miriel to continue her preparations to the Southlands, even willing to apologize for using him. But in the end, this is all just to help herself. But Halbrand does not believe her. Halbrand just wants to forget his past and stay in Numenor, as if they knew what he had done, they would cast him out, and she would as well. Halbrand asks if vengeance for her dead brother is what pushes Galadriel, which she denies.
You're asking me to go to the one place that I swore never to return. The least you can do is tell me why. Why do you keep fighting?
Because I cannot stop. The company I led mutinied against me. My closest friend conspired with the king to exile me, and each of them acted as they did because I believed they could no longer distinguish me from the evil I was fighting.
I'm sorry for your brother, for all of it. I'm sorry.
Your sorrow cannot ease my pain, and nor would a hammer and tongs ease yours. There is no peace to be found for you here, and nor for me, no lasting peace in any path, but that which lies across the sea. I have fought for centuries seeking to earn mine. This is how you earn yours.
Once again, trying to turn it that she is actually doing this to help Halbrand. The Sauron worshipper has taken his group to Adar and pledges his loyalty to Sauron, mistaking Adar for him. But only blood can bind, so he must kill a human to show his loyalty. Bronwyn's son shows Arindir the vampire sword hilt, and there just so happens to be a carving in the watchtower of the sword. How convenient. Arindir realizes it's a key to something and tells Bronwyn, who now decides they should now give up and bow to the enemy as they have no plan to win. This tower will fall, which then gives them a plan to bring down the tower as Adar marshals his forces towards it.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
Elrond confides in Durin about the fate of the elves and why they want Mithril, that Durin now has the fate of the elves in his hands. Durin decides to help the elves, but they must convince his father first. Halbrand decides to go back to the Southlands as their king, and Isildur has made it onto one of the 3 ships left as a stable sweep. I guess those other capable men on the 2 ships that were destroyed didn't get on these other 3. Galadriel meets Halbrand on the ship as everything she wants is finally coming together, and they set sail to Middle-earth. So, that was episode 5. Let's start by saying you can cut the Hopper parts out of this and be done with it, as they are huge waste of time. Now, on to the rest of the episode. There are many instances of dialogue being bad, inconsistent, and just not making sense all through this episode, some of which I have already pointed out. I will say I did find Durin's character a lot more competent and likable in this episode. The direction of jumping all over the place means we can never get invested in any of the characters' stories, even the bad ones like Galadriel. I really do not like how they are portraying her character. You can see why Elrond and Gil-galad sent her away Hell, the fireworks were probably the elves celebrating getting rid of her. She is insufferable. Those elves who were with her all that time deserved to get into Valinor. Also, her fight scene was bad, with all the jump cuts. I guess they could not create a good choreographed fight with longer takes to make it more believable. I do feel sorry for Halbrand, who they have obviously made have feelings for her, who is just trying to start a new life, but is being dragged around by Galadriel. Lastly, the exploding ship, which should have gone on fire at most. It would have had guards on with all the supplies, and also they would have had others on to tend to the horses who were being shown to be transferred to these ships earlier in the episode, which he then blew up and killed. They are also far too small for all the supplies and items and people they are carrying, as well as all the horses. This series is sinking, and I don't think these last 3 episodes will plug the holes to keep it afloat, but I will sail on and see you all in the next episode.